All right, everyone, get ready because we've got some big news about shipping rates. FedEx and UPS are increasing rates again in 2025, and they're saying it's only going to be like an average of 5.9%.
Right.
But I feel like there's always more to the story, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
So we're going to deep dive today to figure out what's really going on and how much this is actually going to affect everyone.
Yeah, that 5.9% can be pretty misleading. Um, it really all depends on what you're shipping, like how big it is, how heavy it is, all those little details.
So someone listening who's like, oh, 5.9, that's not bad. Like, what would you say to them?
Well, if you're just like sending a letter or something, you're probably fine. But if you're shipping like furniture or something huge, then you're probably going to see a much bigger increase.
Ah, okay. So it sounds like we need to look at the details here. Where should people even start? Like, what are the biggest things to watch out for?
One of the biggest is definitely the charges for large packages. We're seeing additional handling go up over 26%,
Yeah.
and oversized charges are going up even more, like 27%.
Wow, that's huge. I
Yeah.
mean, imagine if you're a business and you're like selling, I don't know, like handmade furniture, and shipping is a big part of your business.
Yeah, that could really hurt.
Yeah.
And it's only going to become a bigger problem because people are buying more and more large stuff online.
So do you think this will change how people shop online?
It might,
Like, will people stop buying big items if shipping is too expensive?
maybe, or maybe businesses will have to figure out a way to cover those costs.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about. Okay, so we've got big packages, that's a problem. What else is getting more expensive?
Well, two-day air is going up again, too.
Ugh, 2-day air, always so pricey.
Yeah, it's going up over 7% this time. And if you look back to 2022, it's actually increased a total of 23.7%.
That's a lot. I feel like in the past I would just paid for 2-day air without thinking, but now is it even worth it?
Yeah, that's the question a lot of businesses are going to have to ask themselves. Like, if you're shipping something that absolutely has to get there fast, then you might not have a choice. But for other businesses, they might have to rethink things.
Okay, so large packages and 2-day air, check and check. Are there any other hidden surprises we need to know about?
Oh, there are always surprises with shipping rates.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest is something called accessorial charges.
Accessorial charges, those are all those extra fees,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Like fuel surcharges and if they have to deliver to a house instead of a business.
Yeah, all those things.
Right, right.
And those are going up too, sometimes even more than that 5.9% average. They can really sneak up on you.
It's like trying to get through a maze. You think you're almost there, and then bam, another fee pops up.
Exactly. And if you're not paying attention to your shipping data, it's easy to miss them.
So let's zoom out a bit. We got a list of all the countries affected by these rate hikes from UPS. And, well, it's a long list.
Yeah, it's definitely not just a U.S. thing.
So what does that mean for businesses that ship internationally?
Global shipping was already complicated. This just adds another layer of complexity. Businesses are going to have to really think about how this affects their whole supply chain.
And their pricing too, right?
Yeah, and how they compete with other businesses around the world.
Okay, so before we move on to figuring out how to deal with all this, let's recap. We've got that tricky 5.9% average that doesn't tell the whole story. Big packages are getting hit hard. 2-day air is getting even pricier. And those sneaky accessorial charges are lurking everywhere. What's the biggest takeaway you want people to remember?
That 5.9% average is really not the whole story. You really have to look closely at your own shipping to see how this is going to affect you.
Dig into the details.
Exactly.
Awesome advice. We'll be right back after a quick break to talk about how to actually deal with all these changes. Stay with us. All right, so we know these rate increases are happening, but what can we actually do about it?
Well, the first step is to really look closely at what you're shipping now. Don't just look at the total cost. Look at the specifics of each shipment.
So, like, how many of my shipments are those big ones that are going to cost more?
Exactly.
And am I being hit with a bunch of those extra charges, the accessorial charges?
Yeah.
Okay, so once I know all that, then what?
Then you can start to see where you can make changes to save some money.
Okay, for example, let's say I'm a business and most of my shipments are those big, heavy ones. What could I do?
One thing you can do is look at your packaging.
Okay.
Are you using the smallest boxes possible?
Oh, I'm definitely guilty of just grabbing whatever box is closest.
Yeah, a lot of people do that,
But I guess those little things can really make a difference.
especially with these new rates.
What else?
Well, you can try to negotiate better rates with your carrier.
Oh, yeah. Can you actually do that?
If you ship a lot of packages, you might have some leverage.
Okay, so it's worth a shot. What about those accessorial charges? Those feel kind of unavoidable.
Well, you can avoid some of them.
Really? Cool.
Like those residential delivery
There you go.
fees. If a lot of your packages are going to people's homes, you could try using those delivery lockers instead,
Oh, yeah, those lockers are everywhere now. I actually like using them.
and they can save you money.
Cool. Any other tips for avoiding fees?
You can try to encourage customers to choose standard shipping.
Instead of 2-day air.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm guilty of always choosing the fastest shipping.
It's tempting.
But maybe I need to be more patient.
It could save you money.
Okay, so packaging, negotiating, avoiding fees. Is there anything else we can do?
Technology can be a big help.
Oh, yeah, technology always has the answers, right?
There's some really great software out there that can help you optimize your whole shipping process.
Like how?
Well, it can automate things like printing labels,
Okay.
and it can help you track your shipments in real time.
So you can see if there are any delays or problems.
Exactly, which can help you avoid extra charges.
Okay, this is all great advice. But I'm just one person. I don't have a whole team to handle shipping. This all feels kind of overwhelming.
You don't have to do it all yourself.
Oh, what do you mean?
You can hire a shipping expert.
Like a whole consultant just for shipping.
It could be worth it.
Interesting.
They can help you analyze your shipping data, find ways to save money, and basically handle all the complicated stuff for you.
So I can focus on running my business.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. So we don't have to just accept these rate hikes.
No, not at all.
There are things we can do.
Definitely.
Okay, I'm feeling a bit more optimistic now. But before we go too far, I want to go back to something you said earlier about these rate hikes affecting more than just, the cost of shipping.
Oh, right.
Yeah, like how this could change consumer behavior.
Yeah. People might think twice about buying large items online.
If shipping is too expensive,
Exactly.
and it could force businesses to raise prices.
Or find different ways to ship things.
It's like a domino effect. One thing leads to another.
And who knows what other changes this will lead to.
It's crazy to think that something as simple as shipping rates could have such a big impact on everything.
Everything is connected.
Okay, so much to think about. We're going to take a quick break to gather our thoughts, and then we'll be back to wrap things up and give you some final takeaways. Stay tuned. All right, we're back. And I hope everyone's feeling a little less overwhelmed about all the shipping stuff. We covered a lot,
We did.
but I think we also learned some good stuff.
Yeah. Hopefully everyone's feeling more prepared now.
So, to recap, that 5.9% average increase, well, it's not really the whole story.
Nope, not at all. It really depends on what you're shipping.
Like those big items, those are going to see some big price jumps.
Yeah, if you're shipping furniture or anything oversized, you got to watch out for those extra fees.
Right, those additional handling and oversized charges. And then there's 2-day air. It just keeps getting more and more expensive.
It really does. It's gone up almost 24% since 2022.
So businesses might need to think twice about whether they really need that speed.
Yeah, sometimes standard shipping is just fine.
And of course, we can't forget about those accessorial charges, all those little extra fees that can really add up.
Yeah, like fuel surcharges and residential delivery fees, those are going up too.
So, it's a lot to keep track of.
It is.
But we also talked about some things people can do to manage all this.
Right, like making sure you're using the right size boxes and
Right.
maybe even trying to negotiate with the carriers.
And those delivery lockers, those are a game
This is
changer.
fair.
And don't forget about technology. There's some great software out there to help with all this shipping stuff.
Absolutely, it can make a huge difference.
And if it's all just too much,
You can always hire a shipping expert.
yeah, they can be like your shipping Sherpa.
I like that.
So, even though these rate increases are happening,
There are things we can do to prepare.
and we don't have to do it alone.
Exactly.
And now, I want to circle back to something we talked about earlier, about how these changes could affect more than just shipping.
Right, like the whole economy.
Yeah, it could change how people shop online and how businesses operate,
It could lead to all sorts of innovations.
like more localized production.
Maybe even more drone deliveries.
It's exciting to think about what the future holds.
It is.
So, even though these rate hikes might seem like bad news,
They could also be an opportunity for positive change.
I think that's a great way to look at it. Well, that's all the time we have for today, but we encourage you to keep learning about this stuff and stay tuned for more deep dives in the future. Thanks for joining us.